Hello, everybody. Welcome to Friday Night Funny's West Coast Comedy Showcase. I'm Naomi Fitter, your host for the evening, and thanks for tuning in. We have gathered here tonight some of my favorite acts from Portland, Seattle, and Los Angeles, and we also have a wonderful live studio audience. Maybe we'll hear some noise from them. Oh,
Yay!
an excellent, a very uproarious studio audience tonight. My family has actually valiantly been serving as part of the studio audience for many of these shows. So So in appreciation of them, I wanted to dedicate most of my set today to gently roasting them. So here we go with that. I'm originally from Ohio, which is a pretty tame place. Once I surprised my grandpa with a birthday card that declared, "Still sexy at 70," and featured a whistling Playboy bunny. It was so shocking that it killed my grandma. At least
Also true.
it's true. She had an aneurysm later that day. At least, we thought it was the card that killed her. Later, while going through her things, we found silk Playboy bunny pajamas in her closet. Grandma approved. And now whenever I'm having a bad day, I wear those silk pajamas in public or wherever I go. And if anyone objects to their mild inappropriateness, I just say, "It's okay. They were my grandma's. She was a beautiful person." Excellent. Sexy grandmas. The pajamas weren't the only thing we found in the closet that day. We also found Grandpa. He's now cougaring it up, romancing a younger man. Go, Grandpa.
Shocking.
I always say that my grandma was such a wonderful, exceptional lady that no other woman would do. Go, Grandpa. He turned 83 this week, and he's still sexy. Yeah. I sometimes get coupons for free Victoria's Secret underwear at my childhood address in Ohio, and my mother is often kind enough to help me cash them in.
Yep.
But you can tell she's still thinking about me as her little girl as she does it, because in her last haul she managed to find me these big pink granny panties, which I have no idea how she even found that at Victoria's Secret. I can only imagine that she went up to a sales clerk and asked, "Do you have anything that's a little less flattering? What do you have that's the opposite of a thong? How about these? Those are shorts, ma'am." Is that what happened?
No.
No.
Maybe.
Do you all think that Victoria's real secret is that the company uses prison labor to make its lingerie, though? Lately, I've only been able to write new jokes about the prison industrial complex and machine learning's effects on historically marginalized groups, and the jokes are exactly as uplifting as you would think. My upbringing also taught me to be very careful when selecting produce, but now as like an adult woman, I always feel self-conscious looking for that perfect cucumber. It's a simmering dirty joke. As a child, I was very progressive. I liked to draw stick figures of myself and all my friends and family. And regardless of the sex of the stick figures, they all got little stick figure penises.
Yes, they did.
It's also true.
Very true.
I cut my hair short and started dressing like a boy when I was 7 also. And my parents were super pumped, not because they're necessarily empowering or into breaking down gender norms. They were excited to save money on all the hand-me-downs for my 2 younger brothers.
Yeah.
That's true.
They saved a lot of money that way. Perhaps because of my family's thriftiness, I've always felt compelled to pick up pennies from the ground. I think if I had blonde hair and blue eyes, I would be a kidnapper's dream. Most kids, you can all see it, right? Yeah. Most kids could be enticed with like candy or puppies, but I could have been abducted using just a few cents in a strategically placed van. Bye. Bye, baby Naomi. I see a lot of pennies in the crosswalks of busy intersections too. Sometimes I get suspicious that someone's trying to kill me. It would be a good setup. My husband is also aware of this penny proclivity. In his marriage proposal, it began with a trail of pennies leading to the bedroom.
It's true.
It's very romantic. I also have a fondness for trash picking. I realized I really had a problem when I was walking around on garbage day, and every time I walked past someone's trash, I looked at it like Baywatch lifeguards look at sizzling hot babes. Hey there. I wonder what kind of dirty secret you're hiding. How can I get inside of you? And once, after I spent a day hanging out with my cousin, she dropped me off at my house. I saw an interesting garbage pile next door, but I played it cool and walked slowly towards my own door. And once she rounded the corner, I turned around and made a beeline for the trash. A few minutes later, I heard someone say, "Find anything good?" My cousin had done the same thing as me, pretending to drive away, rounding the corner, and coming to look at the trash as well. We bonded over hauling away a nice-looking coffee table. I guess you could say we both tabled our trash-picking embarrassment that day.
Oh, good one.
That's a dad joke. Which leads well to some material about naked dads. Here's some jokes about naked dads. Does anybody in the crowd have a naked dad?
Woo! I wish.
Some naked dads, some desires. Let me expose this. I have a naked dad. He's not very confident or committal about his nakedness, though. Instead of openly flaunting his junk, he shuts down 3/4 of the house whenever he strips down to shower by yelling, "Don't look at me, I'm naked." It's kind of like Schrodinger's cat, Schrodinger's naked dad, if you will. He's supposedly naked, but cannot be observed. Is he really naked? You don't really want to find out. But unlike a cat, he can't be sequestered into a box, but rather uses most of the home. And he doesn't have a pussy. That part's a little dirty for my parents. A naked dad is also like an eclipse. As soon as you hear him say, "Nobody come up here," you know the implication is that there's a naked dad and you shouldn't look at it. But you still kind of want to look at it. And if you do look, your eyes will burn. Unless maybe you wear special glasses that help to keep your innocence intact. That was some fresh naked dad material. I've seen a lot of political coloring book pages popping up on Facebook recently. And now that adult coloring books are a thing, I've been thinking about pursuing the untapped market of adult coloring books. Like, you could invest in my Kickstarter today and get a free copy of our inaugural release, Blondes, Brunettes, and/or Redheads. Or maybe you like your ladies thick and curvaceous, thin as can be. You decide what's skin, what's wallpaper, and what's poorly construed tribal tattoos. I know what you're thinking. You've seen coloring books with all kinds of features, but you've never seen scratch and sniff like this before. And on that bright note, I'm excited to kick off this amazing lineup, and I want to bring up the next act to the virtual stage. This performer has been in SF Sketchfest, co-runs the Haha Harvest Comedy Festival up in Portland, and also co-hosts the illustrious Spec Script podcast. Please help me welcome to the virtual stage, Khatami. Woo!
Hi! Hey, hello the world. How you doing? Hi, I'm Khatami, and I'm here to say that I've got some good jokes today. So, let's go. A little bit about me before is I love TV. Naomi mentioned my show Spec Script, where it's a podcast about TV shows. I like TV. I've just been watching this new show. It's not new, but new to me. The Harley Quinn show on HBO Max, and it is amazing. And the whole plot of the show starts with Harley Quinn dumping her boyfriend, the Joker. And like, Harley Quinn dumped her Joker. I wish we could dump our Jokers in Washington, D.C. Am I right? But I'm not just about TV. I don't like just talking about TV. Also, sports. Who got some sports fans in the studio audience here? Woo! Well, so the Washington football team, they have just taken away their old name because it was a slur, which is weird that they let that stay for so long. And my suggestion was for the Washington football team's new name to be the Washington Jokers, because that's what Congress is, but that name was already taken by Senate. So, look, the thing is that I just love is that I love that we had a movie recently where we learned about how Joaquin Phoenix became the Joker. And I want to know how those senators and congressmen became the Joker. So, one of my favorite performances is Heath Ledger in the movie The Dark Knight, where he really disappeared into the role of the Joker. But if you really want to see a Joker disappear, you should look at a politician every time they go to the golf course. Okay, well, I mean, some people say that the character of Batman doesn't make sense because it's like, how have you been around for 80 years and not been able to get rid of the Joker? Well, look, we've been in America for more than 200 years and we've never gotten rid of our Jokers in Congress. So, yeah, but I'm not just a Joker comic. Like, recently I saw a movie called It, and there was a killer clown in that movie. And if you want to look for a killer clown, don't look to the movies. Look to the people in Congress for passing sanctions on the Iranian people that killed them by the thousands. The thing about the circus is that, like, it's been, like, falling in hard times. First, because they had to get rid of all the elephants for the cruelty, but now because of COVID. And a lot of the circuses are shutting down. And you might be worried about the clowns there not having a Don't worry. They all went to Congress. I was watching The Gathering of the Juggalos, and I was like, oh, it's hosted by the Insane Clown Posse? The Congress Posse? The Violator is one of my favorite villains. And the Violator is an evil clown from the Spawn. And if you want to see clowns that violate people, look at how the Senate violates our... Like, so I was, like, thinking recently about this, like, the classic story of, like, the clown Pagliacci, and I'm like, oh, if I was Pagliacci, like, of course I'd be sad, because if you're a clown, you're in Congress. So, like, actually, like, I was on a list of comics, of ranked comics, and I was like, I don't deserve to be any of these top comics, because the funniest comics out there are those clowns in Washington, D.C. You know what they say? They say You know, clowns am I right? I must be in Congress. Honestly, what's the deal with Congress? Because, look, you know, they'll just deadlock in Congress. Like, how can there be traffic and deadlock when they all drive to work in the same car? And, like, here's news. Recently, the Washington football team had to rename themselves because of that slur. And it's like, how is that still a thing? But I was going to suggest that they name themselves the Washington Clowns. But that's already been taken by the House of Representatives. You know, we do have fun. We do have fun. They should change the name of Congress to Congress. What's the deal with the Joker? Okay. He says he's the clown prince of crime. Sorry, this is America. We don't have royal clowns. We elect our clowns to Congress. Apparently, there's a new Batman book coming out called The Three Jokers, and he's panicking about having to deal with 3 Jokers. Well, we've got 100 Jokers in the Senate. 500 or 438 Jokers in the House of Representatives. Real Joker in chief in the executive branch. So, look, you know, the thing is, I was watching my favorite show on TV a few days ago, Impractical Jokers, where they do a lot of pranks, and I'm like, if you want to see some impractical jokers, try to ask one of those jokers in our government to explain taxes. All right. Clown to the left, Joker, Violator, Insane Clown Posse. The thing I love about the Joker is all the jokes he has. He has a really robust reservoir of jokes. Yeah, so Harley Quinn, you should watch that show. And you know what they say, like, you either die the Joker or you become a member of Congress.
My Congress.
All right. So, a lot of people had a big critique of the Suicide Squad movie because Joker was only in it for like 10 minutes. But that movie was released in 2016. So he had to spend most of his time running the Republican National Convention. You know,
True.
Disappeared Clown Prince, Jack Nicholson, you know. Jack Nicholson was the Joker, and, you know, I wish more of the Jokers in Congress spent all their time watching Lakers games instead of polluting our lakes with chemicals. Anyway, I think that's most of my time, and I just want to say before I go, you probably know, you can tell a little bit about me. I like certain characters. I like certain narrative things, and I think you can tell by this that my favorite character in comic books, television, movies, has always been Doctor Strange. Alright, is that my time? It is for me. Alright.
Perfect. Khatami, everyone.
Woo! Woo! Woo!
Some much-needed political comedy. I heard he knows someone who's had sexual congress with Bozo the Clown, not to be confused with the semi-legal affairs of those clowns in Congress.
Excellent.
Comic is good.
Uh-oh. We'll talk about this more later, but our next comic coming to the stage, already here on the virtual stage, has performed in the All Jane Comedy Festival and NYC's Asian Comedy Festival, and runs the Model Minority Comedy Show in Seattle. So please help me give it up for Stéphanie Nam.
Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
Fine.
It's fine. Okay, cool. No one's gonna ask me how I am.
Yes.
How are you?
It's too late now. Gotta get that crowd work in. So, yeah, Zoom comedy. Zoom comedy is fun. Fun time on Zoom. I get kind of nervous and anxious when I do comedy, and I used to associate those feelings with certain places and come home to my sanctuary. But now I can feel nervous every time I'm in my apartment, 24 hours a day. Times. Another thing I like about it is I get to know who my real friends are. Because, my friends are always commenting on my Instagram saying they'd love to see my show, but they don't live in Seattle. Now any of them could be here, but they're still not, so it's good to know. I did have one friend who was going to come, but last minute said she had a work meeting. I don't even know what is work. What is it?
It's funny.
I do kind of have a job. I'm a landlord. Yeah, I have one tenant. I'll introduce you to her today. This is Yamita. She's an immigrant from Peru. Been paying her taxes for 10 years now, and still didn't get a stimulus check. So, if you care about immigrants at all, want to help her out, just Venmo me, and that'll go towards her rent, because it's not going down. Let's see. Is the only living thing I see these days. Who survived the storm. I just have a graveyard of pots on my windowsill. That's my aesthetic. Yeah, but these are fun times. Fun times, COVID times. Yeah, I was walking down the street and someone kicked a rock at me and called me a dirty Asian bitch.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's all good. I'm all about that intersectionality. Recently diagnosed with RBF. If you don't know, it stands for resting bitch face. People just diagnose me all the time. And it means when your face is in its neutral state, you look angry or annoyed. And I was thinking about why this is, besides, being perpetually angry and annoyed. But I observed a lot of people and realized that most people in their neutral state, their lips go straight across, and when they smile, they curve upwards a little bit. But me in my neutral state, my lips just curve downwards. You can see. And if I try to smile, I can just get to a straight line. So, yeah, I do think that is a part of it, but the bigger part is that RBF is just a sexist idea and term. That's why it has the word bitch in it. It's mostly attributed to women and friends because they're expected to be pleasant and agreeable all of the time. You know, like when a man asks you to smile, which still happens. Even wearing a mask, you know, men will find a way. Yeah, the last time I remember this happening, I was working in a customer service position, and this man I was helping was displeased with my general demeanor, and so he asked me, "Why don't you just smile for me?" And I was like, "Well, because being in your presence doesn't make me happy." Let's do some dad jokes, fun stuff. All right, my dad, he told me that I'm his favorite child, and when I heard that, I was just so disappointed because I don't like anything that he likes. Yeah, but looking back, I probably should have figured that would make me his favorite. It's a little self-hate joke, but no one related to it today. All right. Yeah, Dad, he is getting older, and I know this because he's still alive. And he's telling me, you know, it really sucks to get older. He's having all these health problems now, and he sucks. So he told me, don't do it. Don't get older. I'm pretty sure he wants me to die young. I'm working on that. Got a few years left, maybe. Yeah. On a lighter note, I'll tell you about my weighted blanket. So, if you haven't heard of them, they say to have stuff that are inviting and will help you to sleep at night. And if all you do is share depression memes on your Instagram stories, all of your ads will be for weighted blankets and therapy. That would it is. But yeah, the ad, they told me that it feels like a hug. So, of course, I had to get one during these hugless times. But yeah, I got it a few months ago. I've only used it one time because it is hard to use. They don't tell you that part. It's heavy. It's 15 pounds, and my weight limit at the gym is 2. And it's not like you just pick it up. It's like every part of it is heavy, and you have to put it evenly over your body with no folds, because no one is tucking me in at night. It's just me. But once I did manage to get it on, I felt like I just had a workout. You know, I was all energized. I couldn't sleep. But I must say it did feel like being loved. So that was nice. Until eventually I did fall asleep and then woke up and forgot I had it on, and then I just felt trapped. But obviously, you know, that is a part of being loved. So I'm 5 years clean now. Yeah, it's been 5 years.
Woo!
5 years since I last slept with a white man. I'm doing my part. So we all just did our parts, you know, there would be no more of them. So think about it. All right, thank you. I've been Stephanie.
Woo. Let's hear it for Stephanie. As you watch the show tonight, if you feel so compelled, the Majestic Theater folks will be plugging a virtual tip jar in the chat for the show, so please feel free to give in. It's a weird time for performers. We appreciate your support tonight. I just started studying weighted blankets in my research lab, Stephanie, and while my student was making the weights for the blanket, like the little packet exploded, and now there are just tiny, sharp glass beads all over her apartment. So that's a terrible, terrible slippery slope. The next performer here on the virtual stage has performed all over the country. She's been a resident comic at Laughing Skull Comedy Club in Atlanta and has headlined at the Ice House. Please help me give a warm welcome to Kelly Spillman.
Woo!
I'm going to woo myself. Why not? I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, everyone. And I wasn't planning on talking about family, but now everyone else has been talking about theirs, so let's do it. If any of you have, I know Stephanie mentioned being isolated and feeling lonely. I want you all, no matter where you are, to believe in love again, because in a pandemic, my 68-year-old mother found a soulmate.
Wow.
Married, so it can happen for you all. I want you to believe in love. She said she has finally found the one, so it can happen at any time.
Yeah.
I call her the Jlo of Jacksonville because he is actually the fifth one. Yeah, I'm getting a fourth stepdad. Yay, early birthday present. So I'm calling him 4. I'm not learning this one's name. Be gone by Thanksgiving. I can't fly home anyway, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I realize we're like now at month 5 of lockdown, and I notice like everyone else, I know all the other comics here already wrote their Netflix specials and wrote all their overachievers. I haven't done jack shit in 5 months. So I finally got around. I'm in freaking LA. I had to do it. I started a new exercise regimen. And if you don't like to exercise, you can try this one too. I call it jogging. And so this is all you have to do, especially if you're not big into exercise, because I'm not. All you have to do is you just jog 1 minute, and then you get to walk 1 minute. And then I lay in the grass and moan for 9 minutes. I just keep doing that on a loop. That's in training. And you can't see it. I'm going to jump for you. But the pounds are coming off at 19 pounds down. So thank you for that woo. I heard a half woo, and I will take it. 2 ribs have emerged from the abyss. You can't see them. The rest are still hiding. The COVID-19 is under that because I've put on so much weight in the 5 months. But Nicki and Minaj look good is all I'm saying. And I got to admit, today at 7-Eleven when I was going in, because I'm a member, I get Big Gulps for 49 cents instead of $1.49. And very charming man said, "Hey, booty girl." So, I mean, romance is in the air. We're forcing the common theme of this tonight. I have been on shows. I'm so glad to see some of the LA people, and it's so cool to be on a show with Seattle comics and Portland comics. I've been on shows with Wynter a lot. And I get jealous because she'll mention being from Chicago, and then the audience goes crazy. And I'm so jealous of comics from like cool hometowns. As I mentioned, am from Jacksonville. None of you wooed that when I mentioned my mom is the Jlo of Jacksonville, mainly because no one knows anything about it. But I want you to know that you do know something about Jacksonville. We are home to one of the greatest bands, Leonard Skinner. Yeah. I know I've got some millennials and zillennials. So I know you may not have heard that. You actually do know them. Their big, huge song, Sweet Home Alabama. That is right. Our hometown heroes would rather pretended to be from Alabama than freaking admit they are from Jacksonville, Florida. It's horrible.
That's funny.
But listen up, Chicago Wynter, and all you people from cool towns that always get applause from the audience. I got something that none of you have. I have a special ability to hear a news story and know exactly where it is. I don't even have to look it up. I don't know if any of you saw that there was a naked man on top of a semi that was going 70 miles down the highway. I didn't have to look it up. I already knew it was my home state. So, so take that, people from cool hometowns. There was a guy that threw an alligator through a drive-through window. I had to actually see if it was one of my exes from high school because I knew that was Jacksonville. I knew it. I don't know if you all are getting upset if you hear something closes. I know that we have to know this is going to happen. I don't know why, but the Pier 1 closing down really hurt me, even though I haven't bought a pillow since 1995. But I don't know. I just was really upset that we've lost Pier 1.
Yeah.
I'm getting no empathy or compassion from my boyfriend because he is still devastated that soup plantation went under.
No.
Exactly. I'm from the South. I can't even actually, I mean, I'm not even supposed to say that phrase. I go from the South, but I'm not kidding. And it went down like 4.5 months ago. I'm still having to hear about freaking.
Oh my God.
And this is the thing about this pandemic, like you learn things about your partner. The day that Soup Plantation went under, 9 different people texted him to break the news. They knew how devastated. It was horrifying. His phone was blowing up all day. I'm like thinking he's cheating on me. No. I'd rather it was the other girls. It's like condolences about freaking So for 4.5 months, he keeps coming up with business strategies to bring soup that, well, what if we all walk in with our own tongs? I'm like, you gotta let it go. Soup Plantation is gone. I have been trying to jog off at the Rose Bowl, so I downloaded an app. I'm new to this, and it's called Runkeeper. And, you know, for a lot of you, I know, again, Stephanie, if you're feeling lonely, I have a way for you. I think you should download this app because you will get to be in an abusive, passive-aggressive relationship. While I'm at the Rose Bowl, it yells how slow I'm jogging so that everyone can hear that I'm only a 15-minute mile. It yells it. So horrifyingly embarrassing. Well, then I wake up the next day and Runkeeper sends me an email. Hey, Kelly, how about a little friendly competition? It found 3 skinny girls that ran the same loop the day before in 9-minute miles.
That guy who was telling you.
I'm not making this up. It's like
negative body image,
harassing me for how slow of a jogger I am. It's a nightmare. I can't get it off my phone. I'm in my first abusive relationship in my life.
Ancestry.com could learn from him. Like he should consult with them.
Whoa.
Right, anyway. So yes, do
anyway, all right. Well, next up on the docket
I
is
think
Miss
your jokes are
Eva.
really speaking to Wynter.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. I feel like that was the one light. Okay, I'm sorry. I feel like
Going
over my
on.
Thank you all for everything. This was a blast. Thank you so
Shout out
much.
to Dina and the entire comedy festival. This is
Whoa.
good escape. Good escape. I recently escaped Los Angeles. I have relocated.
There's some mysterious things going on.
And,
Can Majestic mute Stephanie? Because that's who we're hearing.
Oh, mysterious.
That was
Hello. I think we heard the past there.
Ooh, the past.
Kelly, I'm not sure what happened there. Sorry about that. Kelly talked about being a VIP at 7-Eleven. I'm originally from Appalachia, so at this point, most people I graduated with have more kids than teeth. It's a true scathing story. Our next act has performed at LA's Dynasty Typewriter and in the Boston Women in Comedy Festival. She's been a guest on Jackie Cation's Dork Force podcast and a comic of the week on the Jackie and Laurie show. Please help me welcome to the virtual stage, Wynter Spears.
Hello, everyone. Hello, especially to Naomi's parents. So glad you're here. Ethan is your husband, I think, Naomi. So hello, Ethan. If it's your dad, I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's my brother.
It's your brother. Hi, Ethan. How are you? My brother comes to my shows too, so that's super cool. It's very cool that you're so supportive. I was laughing the hardest at the Soup Plantation joke that Kelly told because I don't want to say that Soup Plantation went out of business because of the joke I used to tell about them, but I like to think that that's true. Guys, I don't know about you, but do you remember when Panic Room was a movie and not the place that we lived every single day? I don't know when you knew that this was all going to go so wrong, but I knew when I got to my sixth store the day before we went into quarantine and I couldn't find toilet paper, and there was a man in the parking lot playing an accordion. And I said to myself, oh, this is some violins on the deck of the Titanic level stuff going on. This is not going to go well. And I was not wrong. I don't know how you all have been spending your quarantine. I have been dividing my time pretty evenly between reading articles about everything that goes along with COVID-19. I feel like I'm a Google COVID-19 expert. So I spend half my day doing that, and then the other half of my day watching a lot of shows to make me forget about all the things that I've been reading about COVID-19. And I hate reality dating television with the same passion that I reserve for men who tell me how to park my car unbidden. But yeah, if Lauren and Cameron don't stay together, what has all this been for? Guys, I've also, I've reached the building furniture portion of my quarantine. I had to buy a hammer and a screwdriver, two things I have never purchased in my life. And you know what? Give me 2 more weeks. I'll be ready for my HGTV show, guys. I put together a very nice cube from Target. I don't know about you, but people have been talking about the different things that they've been eating or making sourdough bread or drinking during quarantine. I understand that because food is my emotional support animal. So I've been eating a lot of ice cream. Here in California, in Burbank, which is the next town over from where I live, there is a drive-through Baskin Robbins that I have been availing myself of fairly regularly since quarantine started. And every time I go, there are no less than 15 cars in line. And you know what? We all sit there and we wait for our ice cream. Why? We have nothing else to do. I have been... I've been trying to figure out what is next, what is after, what is the after going to look like. I'm not sure, but I feel like at some point we're all going to be fighting in the streets with people who don't have masks on. I don't know why I feel that way. I just think it's a thing that's going to happen because every time I leave my house and there's someone out in the street without a mask on, I feel like I want to roll up and just go at it. And it's a rage that fills me like nothing I have ever felt before. It's unchecked rage. It's so much unchecked rage. Guys, I have been, we've been living in the midst of the probably, I would say conservatively, the medical horror of our time. And conservatively, we don't know what the next 30, 40 years might bring. But I want to take a moment to prepare you for our next public health crisis that I am aware of, minority blindness. If you work with 5 or less minorities of the same gender and ethnic type, and you're constantly calling them by the wrong name, you may have minority blindness. There's a student at the school where I used to work who's been stricken with this horrible disease. I know this because she mistook me for the lone Black female senior student at the school. I was walking down the hall, she walked up next to me and she said, "Oh my God, I think our class got canceled." I wanted to feel bad for her, but all I'm thinking is, oh my God, she thinks I'm in high school. Win is a win, people. A win is a win. Because of the seriousness of this issue, I've taken it upon myself to craft some test questions for self-diagnosis. Now, if you or someone you love answers yes to 3 or more of these questions, please see your doctor immediately. Early diagnosis is key. Do you, like Ted Cruz, not know the difference between John Lewis and Elijah Cummings? Do you, like NBC News, not know the difference between Usain Bolt and Kevin Hart? Do you think Michael Clark Duncan and Ving Rhames are the same person? Do you think Lisa Ling was in any of the Charlie's Angels movies? Do you think Peter Dinklage, who played Tyrion Lannister on Game of Thrones, was in either the TV show or the movie Jackass? Is there a constant argument in your head about whether it was Chris Tucker or Chris Rock who starred in the Rush Hour movies? Do you think Morgan Freeman is Luke Skywalker's father? Do you think Edward James Olmos starred in the movie Machete? Do you get your comic book Chris's mixed up? Your Pines, your Pratts, your Hemsworths, your Evans? Fun fact, if someone says to you, wasn't Chris great in that movie? If you say yes, 75% of the time you'll be right.
No.
Do you think the Wu-Tang Clan is a family of ninjas? Just some things to think about, just some things to think about. Like Kelly mentioned, I am originally from Chicago. I have lived in Los Angeles a little over 9 years. They say dress for the job you want. A lot of women in LA want to be hookers and strippers. A lot of men want to be 14-year-old skateboarders. All sorts of interesting things used to happen at the school where I used to work. Sometimes I had to have meetings with the parents of students. And one day I had a meeting with the father of one of our students, and I walked out of my office and I said, "Oh, hi, I'm Wynter," and I stuck out my hand because we used to be able to shake people's hands. And he just looked at me. Now, he didn't do that thing that people do where they're like, "Oh, I'm just getting over a cold," or "Oh, I don't shake hands, germs." He just looked at me. So he looked at me and I looked at him and he looked at my hand and I looked at my hand, and then it occurred to me, oh, he's not going to shake my hand. And then I was like, wait, is he not shaking my hand because I'm a woman, or is he not shaking my hand because I'm Black? I figured it out. He didn't shake my hand because he's a jerk, and that's why his wife left him. That joke is mostly for me. That's my little revenge. Full disclosure, I'm an actor. At least I have a degree and a bill from Sally Mae that say I am. If you recognize me, it might be because I was in a national commercial, not to brag. For those of you who don't, I think it was in one state. It's called Myers. Anyway, enough about me. As an actor, I was very excited a couple years ago when I got an agent and a manager. What I was not excited about was when I realized that when you have an agent and a manager and you have a bad audition, you have to call both of those people and tell them about it. That's like saying thank you for believing in me. You were wrong. Guys, let's take a minute to talk, since everyone has been talking about their family, let's take a minute to talk about my mom. My mom had a run-in, as she sometimes does, with a woman at a restaurant about her dog. Now, here in California, people are very comfortable with their dogs. They take them everywhere with them. They take them to the bank. They take them to the mall. They take them to the salon. I've seen more dogs at Whole Foods than I've seen at PetSmart. So this woman sits down next to my mother with a dog in her bag in a restaurant. My mother says, no, you cannot sit here. Dogs are not allowed in restaurants. Then the conversation took a turn. The woman looks at my mother. She says, what, you don't like white people? Now, my mother, in her battle against bacteria, has had her say in diners and sandwich shops all over this great land, railing against dirty bathrooms and questionable spots on silverware, from Subway to Denny's, from five-star restaurants to mom-and-pop joints. She has offended Jews, Gentiles, Protestants, Catholics, Sunnis, Shiites in her battle against bacteria. There is, however, no way this woman could have known that. My mother is also not above being facetious if she feels the situation calls for it. So she looks at the woman without missing a beat. She says, it's not that I don't like white people. I don't like white dogs. That's my mom building bridges between the races. My aunt, my mother's sister, died not too long ago. Losing a relative is tough, but I'm often comforted by her last words to me. You've gained weight. Let me leave you with this. Celine Dion can sell any song, This Is How I Know. In her Las Vegas Spectacular show, she sang the song I Wish by Stevie Wonder. Now, for those of you who don't know the very first line of that song, looking back on when I was a little nappy-headed boy. When was that, Celine? When was that? I've been Wynter Spears. You guys have been great. Thank you so much.
Wynter Spears, everybody. Woo. Wynter talked about being enraged. I too have terrible rage issues. I usually have giant fiery outbursts about biannually. And you might be wondering if I mean biannually every other year or biannually twice a year. That's part of the surprise. I've been getting close to a new outburst, so if you want to know what the next one is, stay tuned. And if you feel so compelled, please contribute to the virtual tip jar that the brave Nate will be plugging, I believe, periodically in the Facebook chat. But I want to bring on the next performer, already here on the virtual stage. He has toured with Carlos Mencia and Eliza Schlesinger, and he writes satirical articles for the popular hip-hop site DJ Booth, as well as articles on Medium, which have received over 1 million views. Here's Drew Landry.
Ooh. Hey! What's up, everybody? I hope everyone is doing well. I feel pretty good. I've been house sitting at my friend's apartment in West Hollywood. I live in the Valley, and I got 6 roommates, and all of my roommates are comedians. And it is exhausting to live in a house of comedians. Everyone's like, it must be so fun. It is fucking horrifying. It's the worst. Here's why it stinks. When you live in a house of comedians, everyone is always in comedy mode. Everyone's always doing bits. You can't have regular roommate conversations. I'll be like, hey man, can you pick up your trash? It smells awful. He's like, awful? I'll tell you what's awful. These dating apps, am I right? Are you on these apps? What are you I'm like, hey man, the rent's late. He's like, late? You know what else is late? My girlfriend's period. Maybe, I hope not. I'm not ready to be a father. This guy knows what I'm talking about. I'm like, what guy knows what you're talking about? I don't understand any of this. I don't like it. I don't like it because my fear is what if there's a crisis in the house? Like, what if we get robbed and my roommates are still in character? What if someone walks into the house with a shotgun, points it at us, says, hey, give me all the money in the house right now, I'm going to kill all of you. And before I can say anything, my roommate just goes, whoa! And I thought Jehovah's Witnesses were pushy, am I right? Starts yes-anding the robber. I'm here to rob you. Yes, and you're a dolphin. Thanks for coming, big guy. Here's the money. Thanks for playing along. I've been quarantining with my girlfriend for 5 months, 5 whole months, and we had just started dating. And I remember when we first started dating, the first time I spent the night at her place and woke up next to her, I thought, man, I could get used to this. And then God said, all right, but this was your idea. You asked for this, not me. And I guess we had only been dating a month and a half when the pandemic started. So it all happened so fast. We're just kicking it and getting to know each other. Next thing you know, I'm spending the night at her house. All my food is at her house. All my clothes are at her house. I'm showering at her house. I'm freaking having panic attacks at her house. We were together 24/7 in a studio apartment to avoid getting a disease. And she looks at me, she goes, so what are we? I'm like, safe. We're safe. What we are. It's messed up how for years I avoided monogamy like the plague, and then once I enter a monogamous relationship, an actual plague happens. The downside to being quarantined with your girlfriend is because it's a quarantine, if you get in an argument, you can't storm out, you know? Like, you know what, fuck this, I'm out. Okay, I'm not out, I'm staying in here, but just know that I'm mad, all right? Important to me that you know. So we're, you know, I think all comics, when they're on stage, you know, talk about relationships or past relationships. Comics tell jokes about their exes a lot, which isn't a big deal. But last year, swear to God, an ex of mine told me to stop telling jokes about her or else she'll sue me. And here's how she worded it. She said she'd sue me because I was slandering her in front of my fans. And I was shocked that she thought I had fans. Never seen anything like it. Chris was talking about the Joker. Last year when I saw the Joker movie last year when my mom was visiting me in LA. And I was hesitant to see it because I heard that it was really violent and my mom doesn't like violent movies. But she insisted, so we went to it. And it was really violent. But for those of you who saw the movie, you know, throughout the movie, the Joker is smoking. He's got a cigarette in like every scene. And an hour into the movie, my mom says this out loud. She just goes, the Joker smokes? I don't like that. Like, Mom, he kills people. How is the cigarette the worst part of what he's doing? Some fucking priorities, Mary. What's going on? I do love living out here in LA. You got to understand, I moved to LA 5 years ago with nothing. I just upped and moved here with nothing. When I came here, all I just had the clothes on my back, $5 in my wallet, and a rich father. That's it. That's all I had. I'm writing a children's book. It's like if you give a mouse a cookie, but it's if you lend Kevin $20. And it's about my friend Kevin who owes me $20. Now, I have some of it written in my phone. I'm gonna read some of it to you. I hope you like it. Okay. Oh yeah. Before we start, Kevin has a serious coke problem, and I'm worried about him. Okay, here we go. If you lend Kevin a 20 or even a dime, he'll pay you back soon, but in cokehead time. Says he'll pay you in 2 days, 3 at the most. Then Kevin disappears like a cokehead ghost. Says he'll be gone for 5 months, possibly 6. And you'll realize you've fallen for Kevin's cokehead tricks. It's a pretty adorable joke, I'm going to be honest with you. I love cokeheads, man. I love them. Cokeheads are my people. I don't do coke, but my grandpa was a cokehead. That's true. He was a huge cokehead. But when I was a kid, I didn't know he was a cokehead. I just thought he was the most fun person in the world. Oh my God, Grandpa's got a lot of energy for a guy his age. Good for him. My friends would be like, man, my grandpa sleeps all day. I'm like, my grandpa hasn't slept in 2.5 weeks. Just paces around and talks about screenplays he's never going to finish. He's awesome. And the way I found out he was on drugs was messed up. So we were living in Baltimore, and he got arrested because he was breaking into houses, stealing TVs and selling them. But I didn't find out he got arrested from my parents. I found out through the local news. But what made it really traumatic, I was a dumb little kid, and me and my grandpa have the same name. Imagine me watching the news and hearing my own name, just like, local Baltimore resident Drew Landry has been accused of breaking into 11 houses. And so I'm like, I am being framed. I didn't do any of this. Tell my dad, I'm like, I don't have time to explain, but we need a lawyer. Maybe Grandpa knows one. Ask him. I think we're in big trouble right now. Everything going on with the current administration, right? LGBTQ rights are always a big topic. Now, I'm biased because one of my best friends is transgender. And a lot of people think trans women aren't women. I do because of something she said to me. We were having a conversation, and she goes, Drew, it's really frustrating. Ever since I transitioned into a woman, whenever I have sex with a man, I don't have an orgasm. God. Tell me that ain't a woman, okay? Tell me that ain't a goddamn woman. The wokest joke I've ever written. But everything crazy going on in politics, you know who I miss? It's going to sound weird, but you know who I miss? Is Ben Carson. I think Ben Carson is the funniest man in America. Here's why. Ben Carson's crazy. He says crazy shit, but he says it so calmly that it takes you 15 minutes to realize that it was crazy. Like the president's crazy, but when he says crazy shit, he sounds crazy. You watch him give a speech, you're like, okay, he's obviously crazy. But Ben Carson, he's so smooth and quiet and calm. He almost sounds like he's falling asleep. He'll get on the news. He'll just be like, you know, if Jews had guns, the Holocaust wouldn't have happened. And you're like, huh, that's a really interesting, wait a minute. That's actually fucking crazy. I consider myself a spiritual person, but I think some people, when they become spiritual, they accidentally become selfish with how they see the world. I'll give you an example. A friend of mine went through a bad breakup. And then this pandemic happened, and him and his ex didn't want to quarantine alone, so they got back together, and it's been going great. He's been happy about it. He told me that, you know, about how they got back together because of coronavirus. And I'm like, that's great, man. Good for you. And he's like, yeah, well, you know what they say. Everything happens for a reason. You think God started a global pandemic so you and Sheila could date again? You think that's what happened? The thought you had? One thing, this might be too specific of a observation, but it's just something that annoys me. I don't know if it's universal, but I hate it when hot people complain about how it's hard to be hot. I know that sounds ridiculous, but this is a goddamn epidemic. I've heard it many times. One time, I got a friend, he's also a comedian, and he was complaining about how it's hard to be a comedian when you're good looking. He's like, Drew, you don't understand. It's difficult to be a comic when you're really traditionally handsome and attractive. Most male comics are schlubby Seth Rogen type guys. So people don't take you seriously when you look at a model. It's difficult. And I was livid. I was furious, not because he was right or wrong, but just because this guy was a 6 at best. Maybe 6.5 with a beard. Maybe. I got a haircut recently. I had long, shaggy hair till like 2 months ago. And I hate to admit it. I'm admitting this because I'm trying to get better. I realize sometimes I profile people. I do. But I only profile people at one point. It's when I realize a straight man is going to cut my hair. That's why. And here's why. It's because I know how straight men think. I'm one of them. If I was cutting the hair of another straight man, I wouldn't try to make him look good. I would try to sabotage my competition. I get to the barber shop and I'm waiting. This big, buff, masculine man walks up. He's like, Drew? I'm like, yeah. He's like, it's your turn. Get in the chair. And he was straight, and I didn't like that. And I know you're thinking, Drew, how did you know he was straight? Guys, he had a Lincoln Park tattoo, all right? He was straight. He was either straight or he was stealing from straight culture. In the end, it doesn't even matter. All right, guys, that's all I got. Thank you so much.
Woo! Andrew, everyone. I like to think of myself as Drew's Ben Carson in reverse. So here's just a thing I'll say quietly. I'm originally from near Kentucky, so I can relate to how people feel who are living there. Arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor. All right. The next comic has performed on Amazon Prime's Laugh After Dark, Just for Laughs, and SF Sketchfest. She's the host of the Black Card Rehab podcast, as well as a past Comic of the Week on Jackie and Laurie's show. Please give it up for Kristal Adams.
Woo! Hello. Can everybody hear me? Hi, how are you? Hello. Welcome to me, to my room. I'm going to be pretty honest with you. I am not getting the pandemic that I personally deserved. I am a sleepy introvert, and before the pandemic started, I had a job that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get this job, throwaway job, receptionist, whatever. And then the pandemic happened, and that job became essential somehow. So I am missing my Olympics. I am so livid. All of you who are at home, you've been in a room the whole time. Fuck you. I can't truly, like, if you have, and especially you, those that, like, I hate anti-maskers, but of course, but like right below anti-maskers is anybody who's learned a skill during the pandemic. Okay, I hate you. I can't stand your gut. If you finished a DIY project, get out of here with that. Have you completed an entire season? Have you completed the Ozarks? Stop it. I can't. No, it's not right. I'm very upset. My mom, on the other hand, my mom is living her best life. She retired before the pandemic, and she's self-cared to the point she doesn't even know how everybody else is living. I literally called my mom the other day and she answered, "I'm eating waffles." What? So she does not know how the rest of us are doing. I do have an essential job, but like I said, I'm not saving anybody's life. Like, and I do feel like I need to make that distinction, because immediately when I've been saying essential, like I'm an essential worker, people have been clapping. You don't have to. I think we should make a distinction. Like, there are nurses, right? Like, and doctors, people saving like lives. And then they're like, I'm going to categorize myself in like I'm like a store clerk, pretty much. You know what I mean? So clap for nurses. And I say twerk for clerks. Okay. That's what we need. So you can twerk for us. That'll be fine. No clapping necessary. A weird effect of the pandemic has been, I lately have been consistently dreaming that I am Asian. Yeah, and it's not the same it's not the same dream. It's like it'll be different dreams and I will be Asian. And in the dreams, I am Asian enough to recognize that I am Asian, but not Asian enough to know which kind of Asian. That's a problem. My dreams have dolezalled me, is what I'm telling you. It's not right. And for a while I was like, what is this about? My best friend's Taiwanese. She's like, well, maybe you were Taiwanese, you know? So I was like, oh yeah, maybe in a past life, you know? And don't do this. I'm gonna tell everybody right now, don't do this. You do not want to go down this past life path. You can't do it. That road, that road is paved with dudes named Brad who are using this as an excuse to use the N-word. Okay, so you don't want to do it. We can't do it. So I'm gonna steer you right around from that. I feel like more comics need to come out of the closet. They really do. A lot more like, I don't know how many comics you know and have seen, but a lot more comedians need to come out of the closet. And the closet I'm specifically talking about is the one where they didn't actually grow up poor. There's a lot of comics lying about that. Yeah, and I personally, I'm gonna be real with you. Like, I grew up with some money, okay, and so I'm just gonna. I don't need that to relate to the people, but I understand. I understand the desire to want to use that to try to relate. Because even as a child, I thought the only way to get on TV as a black person was to grow up poor. I really did. Like, I thought I thought it was a formula, like poverty plus time equals Oprah. You know what I mean? And I was in it. I was in it to win it. I remember asking my mom one time when I was young. First of all, I should let you know, I have a lot of positive memories about Christmas, mostly because I got everything I wanted. It was pretty dope. But I did ask my mom one time, I was like, Mom, are we poor? And at the time, we were in our jacuzzi. So I'm gonna be honest with you, I could not hear her over the bubbles. It was too luxurious of a time to ask. I know that Black trauma is real. So like you guys, I'm glad so many people have been waking up and protesting. This is great. But back in 2017, I was going through my round of Black trauma, you know, when we were protesting about Ferguson. And I know Black trauma is real because at the time I had a job in wealth management. And I left it to work for Uber, which I don't know if you realize is the wrong direction. That's not what you're supposed to do. But I did. I had to get out of there. I had to get out of like just seeing just the faces of people who I was tired of seeing happy white people. Does that make sense? So I started driving for Uber, and I became poor. I became a poor, you guys. And and Uber and Lyft, like they say, they do not care about you. I just want you to know, like, if you've never driven for Lyft and Uber, like this is how little they care about you. So you could tell they don't care about you by the way that they ask you if you want to accept a ride, right? Like they'll tap you on the shoulder, or like with the app, they're like, oh, excuse me, Jessica would like a ride. Would you like to accept? And then for like 5 seconds, you and Uber pretend that you're not so poor that you could just turn it down. It's so cute. It's like those 5 seconds, it's like, oh, maybe my bank account. Oh. And then, yeah, of course, you got to accept the ride because you're poor. Yeah, that made everybody sad. That's fine. I've been wearing my hair naturally now. I'm having a pretty decent hair Hair Day. I thank you. It's pretty great. Like I'm grateful for the Crown Act that it's now becoming illegal in more places for Black women to be discriminated against because of their hair. That's so great. I'm also glad that more people know that you're not supposed to touch a Black woman's hair. I will say this: we can still tell that you want to. Yeah, yeah. You guys are. Sorry, we see it. I like some of you guys are dripping with desire, and it's awkward. Yeah, I have seen a white woman trip over herself reaching and then pulling it back. It's weird. I do think I'm going to help you guys out, though. I'm going to start a company where I'm going to send packets of Black hair so that you could touch it in the comfort of your own home. Yeah. It's going to be called Here I Am, Karen. And think it'll make $1 million. Pretty sure. Pretty sure. I have... So like last year I made a music video, and I made it was like a very silly music video, and you can see it on my website, whatever. The point is I made the entire music video out of spite, specifically because I was tired of getting Christmas cards from couples. I don't know. Have you guys been getting like this? It's a couple in front of a house they just bought, or it's just a baby you've never met. You know what I mean? Like that. I couldn't anymore. So I made a song and I had a photo shoot, and I made it so that the card, when you opened it up, played the song, all out of spite. And I've been trying to figure out my own, how do you become this person that hires a crew, gets a green screen, and produces an entire music video out of spite. And I've decided that I think it is that when I was a child, I was not checked enough. And what I mean by that is that when I was 9, I told my entire class that I was a backup dancer for New Kids on the Block at the Super Bowl, okay? That's too many lies in one lie, you guys. Too many. In the Super Bowl, of course, happened on a Sunday, lied about it on a Monday, okay? So no regard to logistics and space, time, reality. And nobody checked me. Do you understand? That's not right. And that's how you get the person that I am now. Also wasn't checked in a very particular moment. I had an American Girl doll. I don't know if you guys know, but American Girl dolls. Back in the day, there was only one Black one, and her backstory was that she was a slave. So glamorous. Had to have it though. Gonna be honest, pretty expensive as far as slaves go. $99.95, my guys. Yes, very expensive. I did have it. I did have her, and I was so obsessed with it. I had to have the outfit, so my mom made me the outfits, okay? And you probably are like, oh, how cute. Like, you probably wore that at home for dress up or for night night. Nope. A bitch wore it to school. Yeah, on picture day. And I don't know if you've ever sifted through your old class photos, but I look like I just stepped out of a Bill and Ted adventure. And look, everybody was dressed like the 90s, but the wrong century, okay? Yeah, and yes, please do listen to my podcast, Black Card Rehab. I am the one that needs the rehab. I'll say, I've learned so much about Black culture and being Black, and I would never say that a pillar of being Black is having watched all the Friday movies, but I will do it for exposure. And that's my podcast. Thank you guys.
Woo! Kristal Adams, everybody. The fabulous. Let's hear it one more time for all of our amazing performers. Chris, Stephanie, Kelly, Wynter, Drew, and Kristal. If you enjoyed the performance, please consider contributing to the virtual tip jar as well. And thanks to the Majestic Theater for having us, the studio audience for joining in here, and all of you out there on the internet for watching. Hope you had fun and have a good night.